Welcome to today's ILTA YouTube video entitled Transforming Chaos into Clarity. I am your moderator, Kate Hathaway, an Innovation Project Manager at Greenberg Traurig, and I am thrilled to be joined today by the following speakers on this topic. Ozban Amram, Chief Knowledge and Innovation Officer at Skills.law, and Kate Simpson, Senior Consultant at Fireman and Company.
Hello, I'm Kate Simpson. Thank you very much, Kate. Great name. I was the Chief Knowledge and Innovation Officer at Bennett Jones in Toronto, Canada, up until November of last year. And then I joined Fireman and Company, a consultancy dedicated to consulting law firms in KM, data, technology, innovation. It's lovely being the other side from going from private practice in a law firm to being on the consultant side. So I'm quite enjoying it, but it's all brand new.
I, until recently, was the Chief Knowledge Innovation Officer at Simpson Thatcher. Before that, I spent over a decade at White & Case, and before that, a decade at Morrison Foerster, and I'm now advising law firms on knowledge, innovation, and data as well.
So I think we can all agree that it's probably best if every firm started out with a solid KM plan. You know, if they had the right tools and processes to put this into action and solid buy-in from their people from the beginning. And they had this plan and they would adapt it over time for technological and other developments. But that doesn't happen. And so many firms struggle with implementing solid KM practices. And yet they seem to be doing okay without it. So why should a firm implement KM now after the fact like this? I know, for example, we're seeing a lot of clients and potential clients asking about knowledge sharing and overall efficiency. But is that the only reason for a firm to do it at this stage?
So I think with generative AI, we're seeing two things. One, there is great efficiency that it brings. But the second thing, it brings new capabilities. There are things that before we just couldn't do at all, and now we'll be able to do. And think about your dream scenario with this new technology. You want to be able to come and say, a computer, please send me a first draft of merger agreement between a pharmaceutical German company and a Chinese, et cetera, et cetera. So for the computer to be able to follow your logic, it needs to be in a much more enriched environment. And I think people who are not going to invest now are going to stay behind and going to lose the ability to be part of this new era of using technology to do greater things that we ever dreamed we could do. That's the first reason. The second reason is still the efficiency. And the more organized you are, the better you are in serving clients. One of the partners told me once, the firm I work with, that his biggest client told him, every time I ask a partner at your firm a question, I get a perfect answer a week too late. Get your house in order or I'll take my business elsewhere. And I think we're going to see that happening much greater intensity, because the technology not only is an enabler to grow up, it also brings people from down to be able to compete with you. People with less expertise and less knowledge than you are competing to the 80% that the technology can do. So for you to be able to distinguish yourself, the main thing for major law firms is going to be our own knowledge. That's going to be what people are going to pay our ridiculously reasonable fees for. And for that, you really need to bring value to the conversation.
Well, that does absolutely sum it up. I had thought about this from if you haven't really started with some of that KM and how to get your house in order. And I kind of wanted to, set the scene a little with what it is that KM is trying to do at firms, where technology is one of many things that KM brings to a firm. Technology is the enabler behind what KM is trying to do. So KM is trying to figure out what the firm knows, and knowing what the firm knows. It is all about enabling efficiency. It is about continuous improvement and adapting to the changes in law, the changes in practice, and the changes coming from the outside in with AI. And then it's about managing risk right across the firm. And by by summarizing knowledge management like that, I think we can start to think about how where the quick wins are for organizing that knowledge and delivering the benefits for the firm that Oz is talking about. So I get to see firms at all different levels of maturity for knowledge management, you know, from functional to operational to tactical to strategic. And a strategic approach to knowledge management, I think, has kind of helps you put your ducks in a row and your house in order to enable firms to grow and scale by teaching junior lawyers what it is that the senior lawyers know, to work smarter, not harder, with the technology and taking on the mundane tasks that Oz was talking about, as well as helping firms win new and retain existing clients by kind of elevating and showcasing the expertise and experience that's available. So I think there's lots of benefits that firms can that can achieve by focusing on the knowledge that's within the firms and organizing it and structuring it, turning, as you say, the chaos into clarity.
So a firm that's been around for a while surely has a lot of data in multiple formats and in various locations. And that includes the institutional knowledge that lives in people's heads and can't be downloaded or mined as we typically think of those terms. And there's also different practice groups with not only different historical practices, but also different ideas for what is right for the future. So, what is the first step? Where do you start?
Yeah, so I would start with what already works. So there are already bright sparks at your firm doing some amazing things. You have to find them and replicate what they are already doing. That requires a bit of a listening tour. We tend to advise firms to start with a listening tour to reveal some of those pain points that lawyers are having in their practice. Law is a relationship business. I don't know how many times I've heard that over my career by lawyers. It is a relationship business, and that requires one-to-one conversations to reveal those pain points, but also to build trust and buy-in, which you are going to need as the program of initiatives continue. And so starting small, but thinking big, you know, having that vision, figuring out where you want to get to, where you are now, and how you're going to get there, I think brings structure around a roadmap of exactly what we're going to do and how we're going to get there. As a consultant, I'm obviously going to say get some external help in, get some outside perspectives. They really help. It's not just consultants that have those outside perspectives, but getting outside perspectives plus benchmarking to know where you are in comparison to your competitors in your markets. But you'll want to produce like a structured roadmap to be able to show progress for a firm's leadership, especially with the investment that's going to be required. This technology isn't cheap. I don't know why some people think technology is cheap. It's not. And actually to get it going well requires an investment, and to be able to get the buy-in and adoption required for that journey means that you really need to put some structure, not only around your data, but actually around what you're going to do and in what order, and what benefits you're going to start to see 3 months in, 6 months in, a year in, and on that journey, on that maturity journey. I think I always talk about the people, process, technology mantra with a very heavy dose of data and content to help you structure your initiatives, to ensure that you are looking at each piece of that people, process, technology, and content, and make sure that you are pushing initiatives on in each of those areas. Because if you overly focus on technology, then your adoption is going to your adoption and your training is going to suffer. If you overly focus on process, your data and content isn't going to move as fast as your processes are going to require. So being structured about your roadmap and your way forward, I think, is a great place to start, and getting everything ready, because once you start those conversations and the pain points start coming in and you want to start delivering, I think there is a tendency to get overwhelmed. Whereas if you've got a structured roadmap that you can create status updates for your leadership, I think that helps.
Fantastic. Oz, anything to add?
Yeah, I just say that technology is not cheap, but humans are even more expensive. Getting smart, experienced lawyers who can help you organize with is essential. It doesn't happen on its own. People, busy lawyers are not going to lead those initiatives, and the only three ways to think about it. Either a partner is going to do it at alternative of how many, whatever the billable rate for that partner is, or you hire a dedicated people to do it on the knowledge side, or it doesn't get done. And there is no third way. So to make sure that your KM strategy moves forward, you need to have dedicated people. You could buy them, so hire them. You could rent them, get consultants or temporary people to help you. Probably a combination of two makes sense, to have some people to help with point solution that have a beginning and end, and have some people who stay with the practice. It is a practice by practice initiative. And lastly, you can't convert dinosaurs and let them get extinct. People who don't get it, you won't be able to convince them. People who don't understand why I need to invest right now in this, if they got this far without getting it, move on.
Well, that leads right into the next question. What are some common challenges law firms face when embarking on a KM journey? Besides dinosaurs, O's, can you
I mean,
expound on a couple of challenges?
I think there is hope sometimes that it will get done, right? I mean, we deal with very smart, intelligent people around us. We hope that they'll get the need to do it, and they'll spend time doing it. It doesn't get done on its own. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. Unless there is someone who wakes up in the morning who doesn't have more urgent needs to serve client needs, those big initiatives end up being in a pile of good intentions in a cemetery, or a lot of frustrations. So make sure that you have the dedicated people to help you, both put the strategy together, but also execute on that. Understand that it requires investment. Understand that sometimes it requires cultural change within the firm. From eat what you kill firm, sometimes it's harder to get people to share. But over time, I think people realize we do better when we hunt in packs. The greater is everyone benefits from that. So make sure that you align your benefits, carrots and sticks around it. Lawyers are very competitive. Make sure that you use just gamification and a leaderboard, and just tell stories about how great it was we were able to win this new mandate because we've done that. And you'll see the light clicks at one of your colleagues, and then they said, I want that too. How can I do that? So it has to start from the top. Firm management really needs to believe in it, and put the resources and the emphasis around it. And it becomes part of every day. The last thing is try to ride on existing processes to the extent you can. Nobody wants to do KM for KM's sake, right? So, one firm, in order to get your expense report for any expense, you need to put your CRM report about what happened there, right? So if you did a BD activity and you took the client out for dinner or to a game, you need to say what happened, right? And that report, that marketing and knowledge always after now become part of, I'm getting paid back for the money I spent. Find those processes. A key one is the closing set, right? We send our clients at the end of each transaction documents. Take that process, do it better, re-engineer it to the point that you could extract a lot of the knowledge, and technology can help. All the Centauris of the world who can extract information from your closing set will really help get you 80% to your meta profile, which you need to do for the KM and BD purposes. So find your processes that already exist in your organization as a hook. To start from there, it will make it much easier.
Being inside a firm, often you can become invisible if you're not careful. I think you have to be quite intentional to be visible. You accept any speaking opportunities inside your firm, at your practice group meetings, anything you can to create visibility and buy-in from leadership, as well as the lawyers in their practice groups and their industry groups. As I said about the law as a relationship business, it's really important to make those relationships count. And I think if you can create a bit of visibility, not only on who you are and what you can do, but also actually being able to solve those pain points, and then celebrate those wins and ensure that people know that you were involved in the win. We're not. Some of us are not great at selling ourselves internally, and I think we could do with some marketing help sometimes on doing that. The second thing I would recommend is the problem solving in the trenches to show wins and progress. Like it is actually getting into the trenches with the lawyers to solve their individual pain points and then replicate those and spread them wider and scale those wins across practice group and allow your champions to sing your praises at the same time as you are getting more visible. And that knowledge hoarding is a real thing. But I think there are technologies now, especially on the smart drafting side, that can reveal the benefits of sharing knowledge far faster than we've ever been able to do. And I think there's some really exciting technologies now that will actually help lawyers see the benefits of actually centralizing knowledge, not only from a firm's perspective, but in a practice group perspective, in an industry perspective, but also your team. That hunting in packs, I think, is an incredibly important point, and showing how pooling some of that knowledge together within a team and being able to access it directly into workflow in your Word can really make a huge difference in that knowledge hoarding tendency that happens with knowledge professionals.
Well, do you have any predictions for the future? Where is KM going in 2025 and beyond? Kate?
Well, so I tend not to do the crystal ball thing, but I've just joined a consultancy where that's all we're talking about is KM and what 2025 holds. The future is bright. I think as Oz said, as an opener, your firm's data, your knowledge, your firm's knowledge is your competitive advantage, especially in light of AI. And so getting your data under control and modernizing your platforms will be essential to respond to some of the challenges that are coming. We're seeing trends of lawyers demanding answers, not results. And answers, not results is one of the most difficult things that some of the huge tech companies have been throwing millions at to try and solve, and lawyers already want answers, not results. That is going to be one of the biggest challenges, and the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you structure your data and identify your knowledge. But we've got AI agents coming as well, which again Oz referenced, and that is going to again require your data to be structured so that the agents can actually find the right knowledge at the right time to deliver it directly in workflow and understand what it is that the lawyer is actually asking. So yes, I think dust off that KM roadmap, get your ducks in a row, because we're seeing firms turn to their KM teams and departments to ask for help, and we are perfectly positioned to do so.
That's great. Oz?
I think that we're going to see several trends. One, not in 2025, but we're going to live to see $10,000 an hour charging because of the greatest efficiency and the value that's going to come. And it's only going to come if you get your house in order. A second trend that we see is that evolution of what used to be called KM now is being called innovation. It's the same thing, right? It's how do we work smarter? So I think many firms that didn't join the game earlier with creating a knowledge department are creating an innovation department, but they're the same, right? I mean, they're the same people with the same experience profile. And then the other thing that we're going to see, which I think we're starting to see, is that some firms are switching from buying to renting. Not everyone is sure that they need to invest in permanent solutions, whether it's technology or people. And they come to rent those services either from consultancies or from technology short-term solutions because the market is evolving really fast. The standard has not been settled, and it probably won't get settled because the pace of innovation or technology enhancements is only going to grow faster and faster. So if you feel like you have a little nausea from the speed we took recently, so take Dramamine, because the ride is going to get more wild in a very exciting way. So,
Well, thank you, Oz and Kate, for sharing your time and insights. This was a fantastic discussion, and I really appreciate your joining us today. Stay tuned for KM and marketing content coming your way. We appreciate you tuning in, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to keep up with ILTA's latest videos. Have a great day.